There we go. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.
Yeah, happy Thursday to all our listeners and watchers.
Right. Happy Friday Eve, right? Now, in
Oh, yeah.
today's show, it's like I
I
celebrate
like that.
Thursdays as Friday Eve.
I love that.
Like in today's show, we want to ask you a question. Are you in a startup MLM? We're going to have a conversation.
We are going to have a conversation. And even if you're not in a startup MLM, you're going to benefit from this conversation if you're in an MLM network marketing or an affiliate program that has been around a while, right? Because we're here to help network marketers fix their business. We know that you are most likely in a place where you love the industry, but you are not earning what you think you should be earning or what you feel like you deserve for all the hard work that you put into. But today there's, I was talking to Chrissy about this earlier this morning. We attend a lot of training because we are forever students, right? Like we come on here and we're sharing information, but man, we don't know half of what we maybe think we know. I don't know, but we have to always be learning stuff, right? So I was on a training last night. I was on a second training for a different topic yesterday, and then did a training. Christine and I did a training early in the week with our team as well, and there was just a whole bunch of stuff that came up that I think it's important to talk about. If you're in an MLM startup, so let's first define that. Let's say the company is 2 years old or less. Okay, it's under 2 years old. Let's just define it that way. If you're in your first year, your second year, you're in a startup situation. What I've seen anyway, and I think maybe Chrissy, even though you've been in network marketing for a few years, you've probably seen this too. Mm-hmm. We look at some of the top leaders, and I mean income earners is what I'm specifically talking about, that are earning like the top dollar in the companies. And it could be a company that's been around 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. And we're saying, oh, look at all this income they have and look at all this success. I wish I would have started when they started, right? The first few years of the company launch, so-and-so was in the first few years, and that's, nobody knew about the company. And that's why they brought all these people in. That's why they're making the big money. And it's very, very easy to say that, oh, I wish I was in early. And the thing is that first of all, we sometimes use that as an excuse if you're not in a startup to say I'm in too late, which isn't true. You can make money in Amway, and Amway's been around 70 years. There are people who come into Amway who are become top 6 and 7 figure earners in a company that most people will say is saturated. Mm-hmm. But they can start today and they'll be making 6 or 7 figures in 24 months. Right. So sometimes we use that as an excuse if we weren't in early to not do the work. And it is all it is an excuse. But also, like Christy and I want to just dissect, oh, I wish I had been in early. And this kind of came to mind, too, because she and I were in a crypto training, as we always are, several times a week. And what were we were looking at prices. Do you remember what the year was, Christy, the prices we were looking at of some of the coins?
So some of them was like 2019.
Right, even a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
We were even looking at, I don't remember what year they pulled up. Ethereum was $1.
Yeah,
and it's 4,000 plus today, right?
Right.
So I was paying, I don't usually participate in chats too much because I like to focus on the trainer. But I was seeing in the chat, oh, this is making me sad and happy all at the same time. Right. Oh, I wish I was in then and all that. And I want to come back to talking a little bit about crypto, but it's the same concept. Everyone wants to be in early. Everybody likes to look backwards and say, oh, I wish. Right.
Yep.
And it's the same thing in a network marketing company. So let's talk about if you are in a startup, you've seen something, it looks good. The concept is good. They're in the early stages. I want to dissect what it means to be in early. And what it takes to be in early.
What it takes to stay in when you're in early.
That is true. We're going to talk about that too. Because it's easy to say it's a risk versus reward situation in all network marketing companies and everything that you do. Right. So when you get involved very early in a company, there is a much higher risk factor but there's also a much higher reward factor,
Yes.
right? So you have to decide what your risk tolerance is. But like Christina said, you also have to say, do I have what it takes? If I don't have what it takes, do I want to stay in? And then like, what do I have to do to make sure that I develop what it takes to be in? So when you're in early, and I'm thinking about every company that Christine and I rep for are at different stages of how long they've been in business. There's going to be changes, and it's just inevitable. Even if the company's been around a while, there's going to be changes, and then different types of changes like products. The company that we rep for cryptocurrency and Forex education does not have the same suite of products that it had in its first couple of years.
Exactly.
Right. So that's the first thing. There could be, these are all like what could happen. We've seen changes in compensation plans. Every company we're in pretty much has had a change in compensation plan, even when I've been involved, right? They've tweaked the compensation plan. You can say it's for the better, for the worse, or whatever.
Right.
But companies need to do what they need to do to stay in business. They are supposed to be profitable.
Exactly.
Right.
Like you think that those changes are not going to come, but when you're in at the beginning of something,
right,
you're at the bottom of that hill. It takes some work to get to the top. So there are going to be changes, like especially if there's a company that does have products, especially with the products, because they listen to customers sometimes. If there is a compensation plan, listen, everybody would like to be able to benefit from there being a compensation plan. And sometimes it rolls out, and it could roll out a little bit differently. So they make changes along the way. Even like in my experience, before I left my job, they changed our compensation plan 4 times before I left. And that was in 13 years. So change in business is inevitable.
And I'm thinking about, I love that you're bringing up that this is going on not in a network marketing company, but at your job where you get bonuses for sales and things. You had a decision to make when at each time they change those. You can either decide to look for another job because you don't like what they changed, because you can't make them put it back the way it was.
Exactly.
Or you can decide to now work within the new compensation plan and move forward to make money. Or the third option is you could stay and bitch and complain
right
the whole time because they changed how they're paying you at work, which is what a lot of people at jobs are doing. Right.
A bunch of people, like
people get mad at me like, right. Oh, I hate my job. Well, then why don't you go somewhere else? Oh, there's other options out there.
Like the little, what is the story with the dog sitting on the porch, and the dog is just sitting there and he's moaning and groaning and moaning and groaning. And somebody walks up and the owner's sitting there in his little rocking chair. And he says, why is the dog, like, why does he look so uncomfortable? And the owner looks down at the dog and then looks back up at the person and says, it's because he's laying on a nail. He just doesn't feel like moving yet. Like, that's what happens with and I was that person until I wasn't that person.
Mm-hmm, right.
I sat there in that very uncomfortable hell because the thought of something different was terrifying. But when I left, I was happy. Like, it's a thing.
It is a thing. But when you're especially, these things happen later and on too in network marketing companies, they do. But you can expect it. You can expect it if you're in a startup. We have something that we're in that's very early on, and I have told the team from the beginning, this is not going to be for everybody. This phase, right? This phase is not going to be for everybody. This is not being involved in the startup is not for the faint of heart. It's just not. The big money, if the company, that's another thing that is a risk, right? You're going to have to build even though the company might not make it because it's so early on, you can't tell. And, the longer the company's in business, the more likely they are to make it. But I've seen companies that are 20 years old go out of business in network marketing, right? But in the early stages, it's a higher probability that they're not going to make it. So you have to build not knowing if the company is going to make it. So like it has to, I don't usually get involved that early. But there are some times where the vision is so clear that it's like, I have to do this, right? At this stage. But it's not, no startup is for the faint of heart. And sometimes you'll hear, and this is a marketing thing. New company backed by 15-year-old network marketing company. You know why they marry the two? Because they want you to feel like you're not getting involved in a startup, but you're still getting involved in a startup.
Right.
It's just like, oh, but this company is part, the parent company is a 20-year-old veteran in network marketing that's supposed to make you feel better. And maybe it does, but it's still a startup. It doesn't mean that because they had this, it's been so successful, the new thing is going to be, right? So you have to decide that whether you're going to build or not, even if the company is more likely to not make it. Doesn't mean they won't make it, but they're more likely not to make it. There's also a lot of times there's not a lot of adoption yet, which is a word that we use inside of cryptocurrency and investing as well. But a lot of times there's not a lot of adoption yet to whatever that product or service is. So there's more skepticism because there's not as many like testimonials,
Right.
people have used something for a while, whether it's nutritional or web hosting or education or whatever it is. So you already have skepticism because it's the nature of people to be skeptics. And there's actually nothing wrong with skepticism. We should have some skepticism with everything that we look at. We should be looking at things, like, is this real, and ask some questions. But you have those skeptics who they just never do anything because they're so skeptical. And you have more of that during a startup phase of a company.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that Christina and I have, come across with pretty much everything we do,
Right.
is a lack of marketing resources. Okay. So the longer a company hasn't been in business, the more stuff they have that you can use. But a lot of times in the startups, there's no email campaigns. There's no there might not be any videos yet. Maybe there's not a PDF of the compensation plan yet. Maybe there's all kinds of things, there's no funnel system. And even companies who are veteran companies, sometimes they don't give you funnel systems, right? Every company should have them. They don't have them. So what can you do? You can do the same thing we were just talking about with Christine and your job. You can decide you're not going to rep for them, or you can decide to rep for them, or you can decide to rep for them and bitch. If you're going to decide to rep for them and not bitch, means that you got to create the things that you want that are lacking. I have people come to me, do we have a presentation for this and that? Nope. Well, do you know when we're going to get it? How about just create it? Or if you're not good at that stuff, find someone else to create it for you.
That's the thing I love about our community, though.
Mm-hmm.
Our community is very solution oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been, we've been a part of, and are currently a part of some startups. We are a part of some more long-term businesses. But anytime us or our team members see a need for something, instead of complaining about it, and everybody might complain for like 5 minutes, right? But in that complaint comes a solution at the end. We really try to do our best in saying, until the company finds a solution for this, let's just come up with one so nobody else asks this question. Then we can say, yes, we have that. We just made it,
Right.
So I love our community in that way, that we are very solution oriented, because the worst thing in the world is to sit on the sidelines and complain about the thing that's not there. And you actually have the power to do something about it. Yep.
Yep. You don't like the way, maybe I do a presentation or Christy does a presentation. Do your own presentation then.
Exactly.
But don't it doesn't mean that we're not open to feedback. Because,
Right.
that's a different thing. But but also remember that if you are creating your own things, you usually need to get them passed through the compliance of your company. Mm-hmm. If you're not using the company approved stuff, or if they don't even have some of the company approved stuff, I just want to add that in as a disclaimer. Yes. Because no matter what company you're in, the IBOs, distributors, affiliates are the ones who can get a company to shut down or stay in business long-term by what they're doing out there for advertising. So always make sure you created things that you personally created past your compliance department. And most good compliance departments will usually come back with something you need to change. But they'll say, this is all good. We need you to tweak this, right? So don't be afraid of compliance. They're your friend, actually. They're there to help everybody stay in business long term. So, but that's part of being in a startup. A lot of times you have to create all kinds of stuff because it doesn't exist yet, right? There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of bumps in the road during a startup. I mean, just the things we already talked about are bumps in the road. And what does that lead to? It leads to a lot of complaining sometimes from the downline, right? It just does, right? So you also have to put up with a lot of that because anytime something changes, somebody doesn't like it, and I get phone calls or messages from people who want to yell at me for something a company did. And it's like, I'm a distributor just like you. Why are you calling to yell at me? Because I'm not going to really put up with that, right? And I know that sounds like Christy's complaining, but people know who call me up to complain. I'll let people vent a little. I need to vent a little sometimes. Christy, we all need to vent. So venting's fine. But okay, what are we going to do about it moving forward?
Exactly. After we vented, let's figure out what the solution is. Right. That's a very big thing for me because I don't like to, the energy that comes along with a complaint is not energy that I like to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would rather say, you know what? I didn't know about that. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. Have you thought of any solutions?
What?
Exactly.
Have you tried Google?
No. Right. If they haven't, then I'm like, okay, so let's think about it. Let's brainstorm for a couple minutes. What can we do to get that fixed? And then I have a very big rule of, can we fix it? Yes or no? If no, move on. If yes, let's sit down and figure out what the solution is, because there's going to be stuff that pops up that because of compliance, you may not understand on the back end that it's something government related that is saying the company must adhere to this, right? So it maybe can't be changed, but if you can't fix it, keep going because it's not going to change at that point. But if you can, what solutions can you come up with so that other people don't have to experience this same thing? Like, keep your organization positive in moving forward when stuff like that comes up,
And you have to decide if you're in or you're out. And that's really what it comes down to. And I had to go through that recently as well. Because, and there's nothing wrong with being out. This is the frustration is from the not sure. I'm not sure if I want to be here. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Right. And so are you in? The company made a change. And I've seen a friend of mine who was in a company, it was nutritional. They changed the formula of some of the products. He was out. And he left a lot of money on the table. I mean, he was growing a good organization. He still probably got paid from them, but he wasn't going to grow it any further because that was more important than money, right? He was out. There's nothing wrong with being out. But you have to be out or in. This in between part, is what for me when I'm sitting there like, what should I do? And I'm usually very quick to make decisions of in or out things. But if I sit there and dwell and I'm upset or complaining or bitching or whatever, that is a very frustrating place because I'm not doing the things that I need to do. And out is an option, and out is a good option too. Just it's baked a decision. Even like this last week or whatever, we had a pretty major change in one of the companies we rep for. And if you are on here and you're thinking to yourself like, okay, I know what she's talking about. Are you in or are you out? I'm going to tell you that sometimes when changes are made in compensation plan and compliance and products or whatever, you could put two individuals side by side. One sees it as a horrible thing. The other one's like, wow, what an opportunity.
Right.
So like this weekend or last weekend, with our, we're able to earn crypto from home. We got this nice little nest egg growing, and all of a sudden it was like, well, if you're going to get a free miner, we want a deposit, but we'll also jump you to the top of the line. Some people called and they're all upset because they're going to have to put a deposit down. And other people are like, I am so excited. I get to jump to the front of the line.
Exactly. Like I get my miner faster.
Right.
Like,
It's
I get
just
the thing
that
that
simple.
earns. Right. Like, I get the thing that earns faster. Okay.
Right. All you got to do is pay a little application fee. Yeah,
Right.
I'm in. Right. That there's this, it's like, and you think because you have a certain point of view that, oh, everybody else might as well. And so, I tell you all the time, if you're on our trainings, if you think something is going to happen, it will happen most of the time. Like if you're worried about talking to your people because you're in a startup, and you're manifesting that they're going to be upset or afraid or nervous because it's a startup. You manifested that.
That's what you brought to your business. You thought about it too much. The things you think about grow.
They do. It's just that simple. And if you think, oh, this change in compensation plan is going to be an issue, and if you're concerned about it, your whole team's going to be concerned about it too. You say, well, what do I'm afraid this is going to happen. And then people don't like when I say, well, if you think it's going to, I guarantee you.
Right. Like one of the things that I do like to kind of do to keep the team in a positive mindset is work with the leaders for a solution before we bring up the issue with the team.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, hey guys, this is what changed, and guess what? We already found a solution for it. Let's go over that. It makes that change for the team, for your organization, that much easier because it doesn't allow people time enough to complain. It's the thing. So that is one of the things that I really like to do with just with the leadership in your organizations as you're building, right? Just, hey, this changed. I'm letting you know right now. So let's start thinking before the rest of the team gets wind. And then when we hear this same like issue that we are hearing in our heads, let's already have a solution for it so that we can keep moving forward as opposed to stopping and dwelling here.
Yeah, and it's okay if something happens during during a startup or any time, and it's a deal breaker for you. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to tell people that this is a deal breaker for me. I'm moving on. What you don't want to do is be in this limbo stage, right? So, but you have to expect it during startups. It's expected. It will happen. Things will. Even the companies that you've been in for a long time, in 2 years' time, they may not look the same because this is innovation and business and things like that. So it's easy to look backwards and say, I wish I was in the company early on because such and such leader was in the first month and look at all the millions of dollars they make. But the reality is that most people, even the seasoned networkers, do not have what it takes to hack through the jungle of a startup.
Yep.
It is. There's no path. It's hacking through. And just like you are testing things with your marketing and strategies, companies are also testing things.
Yep.
Right. And if they have to make course corrections and things like that. And so you just have to decide if you're in or you're out, or are you just bitching? You're in. If you're bitching, you're not really in. Right. It's just, it doesn't mean that you don't have a negative opinion about something that happened. But what can you do to make it work for you anyway and your team? Or is it a deal breaker? Deal breakers happen. Deal breakers have happened for me. And people are not money to me. So, I'm not going to, you'll never see me ever be inauthentic no matter what. If I'm not happy about something, I'm not going to be up screaming and hollering just to go with the crowd. Like that's just not who I am. But I also know that my team appreciates that. And they know that if I'm saying this is the way I see this as an opportunity, that I'm not BSing them. Right. And so when you're truthful with people, like, it's like, oh, am I happy about this? No, I'm not super happy about it. You're right. But you know what? We can't do anything about that. So let's move off of it.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it's just, you have to decide if you're in or you're out. You're just bitching, you're in limbo. And it will be much more challenging for you to have success. And this is true whether you're in a startup or not. But understand, if you're in that, and if you're in the first couple of years, not only should you expect it, but you need to give realistic expectations to your team that they should expect it. Everything's always about expectations. If you expect things and when they come, you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal because, Christy and Christy told me. That's a tongue twister almost, Christy and Christy. Say it fast.
Mm-mm.
Christy. So anyway, it's funny. I should just go by Christy too, and then it would be easier. But I'm just kidding.
No.
Like we used to have Dave and Dave, right? It was just easy, Dave and Dave over there, Dave and Dave.
Right.
But yeah, but I, the first thing that Christine and I do is we look at things like if there's something missing, we just create it.
And that's not to say that the company's not going to create it later on. It just might not be on their list of priorities for things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when when companies do come out with things that we were like, oh my goodness, we created it. You know what? It's a pivot into the company did it. Okay, let's take that down. Let's use this, right? It's just be flexible in your business and understand that the businesses that you're in, you need to be flexible with as well. Because like Christy said, and it is a thing. Like Christy said, businesses go through changes, sometimes more frequently than others. And it's because they're doing the same thing that you as an entrepreneur are doing. If you have an advertisement that you're trying to run and you want to figure out what demographic, what time, what region, guess what other businesses do? The same thing that you do, right? If there are new products that come out, it could be because the company listened to the people who use the products. And you know what? They said, okay, I heard this complaint. Here's the solution, right? So just as flexible as you would want somebody to be with you in your business, you should probably take that with you and be flexible with the businesses that you're a part of, whether it's an MLM, whether you're an affiliate, whatever, right? Just individual distributor, whatever it is, just give the companies the same courtesy that you want given to yourself.
I was thinking about that, and this is specific right now, but like the company we rep for who leases out the miners. The capital partners have to put out hundreds of millions of dollars. If it was your $100 million, yours, would you want a deposit on the equipment? Probably yes.
A little bit. Just think about it like this. Every time you've ever rented a property or car, they ask you for money up front. It's a thing.
Yep.
Think about that. Every business where you have rented something, homes, cars, equipment. Have you guys ever rented like the little carpet cleaner thing from like Home Depot? They want a deposit because if they don't get it back, they can replace it. So that's not asking for too much. They've already front run all of that money for you so that you can get involved. But now they're saying, help me out. Give me the confidence to continue to do this. Deposit, please.
Right. The thing is that when we take ourselves out of our little like individual situation and you try to look at things from a larger umbrella, I guarantee you that if you had, let's say you bought, it doesn't matter what it is, it could be vacuum cleaners, but let's say you personally bought 10 miners and it cost you $20,000, would you just go place them around in strangers' homes and not ask for a deposit? I bet you wouldn't with your 20,000, but it's okay when it's somebody else's money. You're like, but no, it's somebody else's money. So I don't think that's a good deal. So that's my thing. It's just a specific example to give you a larger picture though. Think about things from company standpoints. Why are they doing the things they're doing? And if it's really a deal breaker for you, then get out. I'm not afraid to say that.
Right.
Nobody's going to be upset with you or mad, but just be in or be out. And going back to our crypto, and I know this is not a crypto call, but when we were looking at those charts the other night, when they pulled up, we'll just use one very specific example. Whatever year that was, Ethereum was $1, right? It's over $4,000 now, I believe, 4,000 and change. And I saw the people in the chats going, I wish I would have been that early. Okay, let's dissect that real quick. And it's the same thing with the startup MLM. It's just all the same type of thing. Let's say you bought 10 Ethereum, $10 worth back then. Okay, so first of all, it's easy to say that now because cryptocurrency is getting more and more adoption. It's getting to become more mainstream. Everybody thought anyone getting involved with crypto back then was a crazy nut. Right? So my husband's talking to me, but he doesn't realize I'm still on the show. I could hear him like, I'm like, no, I'm on the show. So they thought you were crazy nuts. So you would have to sit there and either not say anything or whatever, but you might start questioning, I'm a crazy nut. But now what would you have done when it jumped up to, I don't know, let's say $100, right? Now you've got 10 Ethereum and $100. You got $1,000. You put in $10. Would you have held on to it, or would you be like, wow, that's great, I'm going to cash that grand out, right? Okay, maybe you do. Maybe you're like, yeah, maybe I'll just cash one out. Now it jumps up to 1,000, 5,500. You got more money. Then it jumps up to $2,000. And during this whole run, it's pulled back down, right? So let's say I had $1,000 in my account and now I only have 200. That freaked me out. I'm taking that 200 out. It might go back down to $10. That's how it is even in network marketing. Yep. Because when you look at cryptocurrency early on, there are some people who held on and they were believers, but most people, even who got in early, took lots of profits. Yep. They do not still hold it today. It's easy to look backwards and say, oh, I wish. But when you're actually in the situation, I highly doubt that most of you would have bought $10 worth of crypto. And when you saw $5,000 sitting in your account, that you wanted just to cash that whole thing out. Like, it's done. I'm going to grab my $5,000 and go. And there would have been nothing wrong with that. Right. But would you have held it till today? And even now, if you bought 10, you'd have $40,000 from that $10. Mm-hmm. Would you now be going, maybe I should cash this out, man? It's at $40,000. They said it might go up to 10,000 a piece. Should I hold on to it? You probably cash them out. That's just the nature of things, because we have that fear or whatever. There's nothing wrong with taking profits, but understand that it's easy to look backwards and say, I wish, because you're not in that situation currently. We are actually in that situation currently with some startups that we're in and with cryptocurrency going, should we take profit or not? Right. Should we be in this startup company or not? Right. And if the startup company makes it and we're in business and we're making a ridiculous money 10 years from now, because that's potential of it, everybody will be like, oh, I wish I would have got in when you did. But
they may not have survived through the bumps and punches in the face.
Chances are you wouldn't have. Right.
Yeah.
So respect your leaders who went through the ridicule and the changes and the uncertainty and had steadfast vision. It's always about vision, right? Where are we going? And if you really want to inspire your teams, you want to focus on a vision message with them and everything you do. So
it's extremely hard for you to be successful if you're half in. Mm-hmm. So pick a side. There's a line in the sand. You're either in or you're out. If you're in, go full throttle, like you're going to be at the top, right? If you're out, don't complain to the people who stayed in. Don't ridicule the people who stayed in. They had something different from you. Like, it's the thing.
Not everything is for everybody, but also recognize that if you're going to get involved early on things, you're going to have to put up with a lot of BS.
Yep. Trust us, please.
Oh my gosh, I like it when we start chatting. I feel like we get on a soapbox a little bit with you guys sometimes too, but understand that we are forever students. We are learning. We are working through, we have our own demons and issues as well, right? And so sometimes we're sharing things with you because we've been there and done that. And we've gone through that. I bought Bitcoin back in 2014. I didn't hold on to it.
Like I'm very proud of myself because I've been holding ETH since 2019 and it was very low in 2019. Mm-hmm. I am very sad I didn't get more.
Right. Because it's easy to look backwards. Right.
Yep.
I know. I
held on.
I bought Chainlink at like $2.17. And I remember talking to Kurt, and I bought a lot of it because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of money off of it. I'm not going to tell you how much I bought, but it was a nice chunk of change. And I
Right.
did sell some of it off, still have some, sold some and bought other cryptos. And I was talking to Kurt, like, oh, I wish I would have bought more of that. But he's like, yeah. And we were laughing because hindsight's 2020.
Yep.
It's easy to say that after the fact.
Yep. Like
because
my cousins are regretting some stuff right now.
I'm sure. And
like,
it's not too
late. I was
late.
trying to give away free crypto and only one of my cousins did it. Like, and it was a coin that I was giving away to my family that was 24 cents. And I gave them a nice chunk of it, and it's over $3 a piece now.
Wow. See?
And I just want to give it away. Like it's low. We know what the projection is. We know what the partnerships are. I don't need to get into all of that with the family. Just do these two things. Send me a screenshot, and I'm going to send you something for you to watch. Right. And sometimes, listen, just be coachable.
We were at, may he rest in peace, Steve Smith's ranch back in, I don't remember what year we went down there for like this leadership summit thing. And we went to his one of his ranches, okay, because he's got a couple. This one specifically for leadership summits for his network marketing businesses. And in the main kind of building, right, where we came to do meetings and congregate, there was this huge drawing of the Excel Communications early genealogy, and somebody had done it for him, and they framed it and they put it up, right, and they wrote it all out. They circled it out. Now, understand, when Excel Communications, really quick story, was disruptive. It was very disruptive at the time because they were offering very reasonable long distance service through network marketing business model. And that was back when people had to buy calling cards, and you called people after 7 or 9 because it was cheaper, right? All that stuff. It was very disruptive. And it was breakthrough technology, what they were doing. But for a long time during the startup, the long distance didn't work. It didn't work. Wow. But they're selling this, and it's not working yet because of the vision. And when we were at the ranch, there was a gentleman, and I do not remember his name now. And we were there for a different company, not Excel. He was showing us where he was on that genealogy. He's like, there's my name right here. He goes, I dropped out because I couldn't put up with this, everything that was going on. He goes, but this is where I would be, and this is how much money I would have been earning when I have not pulled my position out and went elsewhere. He goes, I'm never doing that again. So I was like,
you live and you learn some lessons. Like we inside of the cryptocurrency space are being punched in the face a little bit every time the market goes down. But we do the research. We believe in the projects. We trust the process because we have done the research to see if there's longevity in what we do. Mm-hmm. The companies that we represent, that we're affiliates for, that we are distributors for, we believe in the products and what they do and what the future looks like for them. And that's why we continue to do it, even going through the hardships of the growth, right? Of the expansion, of the changes. If there's something that you believe in, stick to it like you believe in it. Like
2 thumbs up. I would say go to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And then everything else falls into place, right? And it's not always let me say my, affirmations and all that stuff. That stuff is important, but there's also and that's a whole nother call, because I was on this call last night that blew my mind out, getting down to some core issues of why we struggle. Each of us struggles to be successful in whatever we're doing. And there's usually some kind of core issues, but working on your personal development, not being obsessed with it, because you guys know, I call it, you can get it's like you're deceiving yourself because you're doing personal development all day long. Well, did you get any work done too? Right. It's a consistency. Right. It's a consistency of the personal development, even if it's 15 minutes a day that you're doing it every day. And just really quick, one of the exercises of the trainer I was watching, he said a lot of us are so focused on trying to be so positive for our teams and for ourselves all day long that we are actually pushing our fears down and repressing them and not getting them out. And so he was just talking about, everybody's different, but one of the exercises that he started doing a year ago is at the end of the day, right? Because it's a subconscious thing now. At the end of the day, right before he goes to bed, he will go through and he will verbalize all the things that he's afraid of out. He will get it out, because all day long, especially in network marketing, we're trying to stay so positive and solution oriented that we don't let these things get out. Right. And so he's like, I do it every single night now, no matter what it is. And he's got like 5 categories that he does and whatever, but it's like, I'm afraid to succeed, or I'm afraid to look like an idiot, or I'm afraid I'm going to get hate, and just getting it out. So he starts with that. And then he goes back through all the things and says what you might think of as like an affirmation, right? I'm going to be the top person in my company. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. And then he goes to sleep, because what he's done is he hasn't like repressed the fears. He gets them out every day, but he doesn't. Right. He expresses them out loud to himself. And he does this thing where he turns clockwise and counterclockwise, depending on if he's talking about the fears or the solutions. But he's like, and then I say the solutions or the things. It doesn't have to be the solution. Like I will go speak at this event, and they'll book a second event from me. And they're also going to ask me to do some high-end coaching for at least 10 clients. And he's like, and I just say all this stuff that just came back where they're not going to like me. They're not going to, because what's the fear? They're not going to ask me for a second booking. I'm not going to make money. I'm not, and just, he does it in different areas, family and everything else. But then he does that he expresses the fears every night. Then he goes through all the affirmation type thing right after he expresses the fears, and he goes to bed, because the subconscious has now purged and gotten the fears out. Yep. And then it's ended before you go to sleep with the things that you are looking to manifest. Right. And I love that, because I said to myself, we do that. We do. We have to be funny out here too. We do that inside of network marketing and other things where we're trying to be so solution oriented and so positive that how dare we talk about our fears? And it's like, I like just getting them. I think I might start doing that exercise at night, because you are repressing things that are still there, but you didn't get them out because you're not supposed to.
It's so taboo. You can't talk about the bad things. What? Right.
The gurus said I have to say my 10 affirmations a day, and I have to do this. Right. And I have to stay solution oriented. Yes, you do, but you need to get that stuff out, so that's just like a little thing, but it it really resonated with me, because I thought to myself, I do need to and then you're by yourself, so you can be really honest. Nobody else is listening.
Right. Like I yell at myself in the car every day, and it's because of manifestation affirmations that I'm doing. I do it in the car, and I do it as loud as I want to, because there is no judgment in my car.
Right.
I get those things out of my head, off my chest, whatever it is. I might vent to myself. Like, I need to get this out so I can keep going forward. Like it's harboring. Right. So yeah, like I love doing like exercises like that. And not to go off on a tangent, but I love what some of the things I've learned about like the subconscious mind do for you, because the subconscious mind continues to work when you're sleeping. It doesn't sleep. So if you have those negative things that you're going to sleep with, and that's the last thoughts that you have, that's what your subconscious mind continues to think about. So maybe getting them out before you get to the sleepy point is a good idea, right? Maybe you want to go to sleep on those positive notes.
That's what he's saying. He's saying that if you don't get them out during the day, they'll come into your subconscious. So by purging them right before he goes to bed, he has verbally purged them. Mm-hmm. But then he ends it with the positive and goes to sleep. So his subconscious, no, it's just all a verbal thing for him. And it's like right before, but it's not like we have to do these things a certain way, right? Yeah. He's got categories too that he hits on. He's got like the 5 F's, and it's like family, fun, blah, 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 whatever. But the point is that if you can purge those things on a daily basis, your subconscious doesn't need to purge them while you're sleeping.
Right.
And then you're ending on, the positive things that you're looking to manifest, whatever, right? That you want to see, you could, if you don't, some people don't really like that word because it's too new age for them, whatever you want to call it. Okay. The things, your goals, right?
Right.
The things that you want to see happen, right? With your, it could be your happy marriage or, whatever. It doesn't have to be business stuff all the time. And then you go to sleep. I like the just thinking about, I never thought about the fact that when you're just internalizing things that you're not, that your subconscious is now dealing with that while you're sleeping, instead of just saying it out loud. I'm afraid of this might happen. Because we've been taught to not focus on things like that.
Yep.
If we only focus on the positive things, we'll manifest them. And that's why a lot of you aren't manifesting them, because and even like why I'm not at a level that I think I should be at, because I haven't been let it be okay to say out loud my fears out loud, because it's like we got to be positive all the time. Get them out, because it's almost, it's not really authentic to say I don't have any fears.
Right.
We all have them.
True. Yeah.
Right.
We might have to do a class on like manifestation.
We really should. And
or at least like our take on manifesting.
Right. Because everybody is different. And I'm learning from someone else, because I would like to do this myself, learning how to help you get down to the root reasons of why things are not working for you. And it's sometimes stuff that's already happened in your childhood.
Yep. And you just repressed it and won't deal with it.
Right.
And so your subconscious mind that you don't think about is still thinking about it.
Right. So all the motivation and the affirmations and stuff isn't going to work. If you're wondering why all that stuff, because I know lots of people, including myself, that is not work. Those things do not work for. And if you're doing those things and they're not working, why aren't they working? Because it doesn't matter, how fast you want to go, if you won't speed, right? Because something's holding you back, saying there's a rule here that says I'm not allowed to go faster than 60 miles an hour. I've been learning that since I was a kid. So no, I can't. Sorry.
You're
can't
creating your own limitations.
Right. And it's like, what's causing that? So, and that's, like I said, we've kind of got off on a tangent. We've gone 50 minutes today, but I think that this stuff is not really talked about as much as it should in so many different ways, because we don't even know what we don't know about things that's happened to us. A lot of times under the age of 7, a lot of stuff develops between the ages of birth and 7 years old that we're not even aware of. So it's interesting. But we'll save it for another day.
Right. Like when we go over it, I want to bring up affirmations and the difference between affirmations and affirmations. It's a little bit of a difference. And that's what, like, one of the things that I try to do before bed, like the affirmation thing, like for me, it's like, but the affirmations is an affirmation in question form. So your subconscious works to answer the question.
Yep.
So yeah, we might have to do a class on this.
We should,
just to share our take.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, let's circle back, right? If you're in an MLM startup.
Right. There are a couple blockages that you could be having. We covered a few. If you missed them, if this is your first time seeing us, go ahead, rewind. We're here all the time, every Monday through Friday. And we are changing. We do want to let you guys know.
Oh, yes.
That the schedule will be changing, but it's so that we can give you more value, because we do so much. Okay. We want to offer some stuff to you.
So we will not have the show tomorrow. This show is going to run Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because on Monday nights, we're going to do a Monday mentoring for you in the network marketing industry, so that you can kind of get a sneak peek into how our team operates. You're going to get to eavesdrop in, right?
Behind the scenes stuff, basically.
Right. And we'll get the information out about that. And then we are kind of reserving some Friday stuff for our elite VIP type members who are like at a high level of coaching, so that we have time with them on Friday. So we'll run the show's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, and we will get you the information on the Monday, how to access the Monday stuff, probably through Pip Sisters, our Pips for Brunch newsletter, as well as, Tuesday, we'll let you know, but then you'll miss the first one.
Yep.
So get on the newsletter.
So make sure pipsforbrunch.com subscribe. I actually don't like when YouTubers do that. I think it's really funny.
I know, me too.
Like,
And
it
we've been
hurts
doing
my
like a
heart.
weekly newsletter type thing on the Pips for Brunch, but we're gonna be and we're continuing to do a weekly newsletter, but we're gonna start dropping a lot more stuff on a daily basis in addition to the newsletter. So you
Yeah.
definitely want to get on there.
Yep. We definitely want to make sure that we continue to bring you guys value. As always, just as a quick reminder, if you are a serious home-based business entrepreneur and you struggle creating customers, enrollments, leaders, and income in your business, we are doing a step-by-step training for you guys, how to create automatic enrollments, sales, how to build multiple streams of income seamlessly and simultaneously with one effort, right? And how to uncover leaders in your business. So if you're ready to learn how to put like your network marketing business on the fast track, make sure that you subscribe to the Pips for Brunch newsletter and look out for the enrollment form for the class. It will be coming out very soon.
It is. I know everyone's like, I'm getting text messages, especially from people who are on our fast track or before.
Mm-hmm.
When's fast track coming? When's fast track coming?
Yep.
Not as fast as we want to get things done, but what we don't want to do is like launch it and then we don't have the resources for you. We want to make sure you've got the resources you need. So it's coming like very, 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 very soon.
We believe in giving value.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't rush it. We want to make sure that you're actually going to get some information that you can use in your business.
But sounds good to me.
That's going to wrap us up for today, you guys. I hope everybody is having an awesome and productive morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.